A cold country town. I'm Miriam Smout, and I'm excited to share with you today about the framework that I was given for wholeness and heart healing. It's an interesting process that I've journeyed through many, many times and found to be incredibly helpful. I wouldn't be where I was today if I hadn't had this framework to work by. So welcome. I'm going to be sharing for about half an hour or so, and then I do a little activation at the end, and I'm excited about my activation for today because it's been a real blessing for me this week as well. So I am Miriam Smout, creator and founder of Redemption Mamas. I have a mama's heart. I can't help myself. In fact, we had a bit of a clash, one of my oldest daughter and I. When she was about 16, she kept telling me, "You're just over-mothering." I'm like, I can't help myself. Anyway, we had come to a bit of an arrangement because I did feel like I over-mothered when there was some things that needed to be mothered into. So we came to an arrangement that if she felt that I was over-mothering, I would say, she would tell me, "Mum, you're over-mothering." And I would say to her, "Well, I feel like you're under-adulting." And we'd go our separate ways and just have a little process time. And I'm so grateful that she had the courage and the boldness to speak that into my life, because it is my heart. It is my heart to mother. But while it's my heart, I've had to learn a lot of things come with years of maturity and wisdom and experience, that not everyone wants to be mothered. In fact, not everyone's ready to be mothered. However, that's been the precious opportunity I've had now for a couple of decades, mentoring women in the space of heart healing. Now, how did I get to that space, get to the space of heart healing? Well, I got there with a very broken heart. I was struggling in so many, many ways. I was living in cycles and patterns of emotional chaos and thoughts that were chaotic and harmful to me. I really struggled at a very deep level on a number of fronts. And in my 40s, after I'd had 5 children, my husband, Cole, busy man, we had our own real estate agency. We had built a few houses. It was a busy, hectic time. Plus, we'd had 5 children in the middle of all of that. I was beginning to unravel. And while I could sense it inside of myself, I actually had no idea what to do about it. I had no skills. I had nothing that gave me any clue as to what I should do about this unraveling that I could feel happening inside of me. And it wasn't until I came across a couple of other women, particularly one who I had known, and she had 6 children and a pretty difficult marriage as well. Like, marriage is pretty hard to stay married, guys. You know, it's not a very it's not a thing for the faint-hearted. It's a huge challenge. But I'm so grateful today that the journey that I went on did end up resulting in Colin and I being married now 40 years next year. So we're planning a bit of a celebration for that. But my friend I journeyed with her. You know, I'd done a lot of homeschooling things, and we'd done activities together, and I knew her story. And when I saw her and her face was radiant, it was radiant. I was like, this is not the same woman that I had, you know, journeyed with before. And she shared a little bit about the things, the journey she was on, and bringing heart healing into her own space. And yeah, God bless her, because she became a catalyst for me to connect in with the women that she was journeying with at the time. You know, when your heart is in a space of being broken and just struggling day by day to even do the very things that you have in front of you that feels so important and necessary to do, to nurture those around you and then to nurture yourself. It's a very challenging place to be. It's heavy. It's like walking through thick mud without anyone to help you. And that was very much where I found myself. In my 40s was a very difficult period of time for me. But I'm so, so grateful that this heart healing journey opened up through prayer ministry, through the Holy Spirit, who I work with very closely. He guides me, directs me, leads me, and I've learnt how to live in alignment, body, soul, and spirit, and to sense when there's things that come out of alignment. Doesn't mean that I don't sometimes get caught off guard. And it doesn't mean I sometimes don't stuff up and make silly mistakes. Not at all. But what it does mean is I have some strategies and I have some framework to be able to unpack some of the things that are happening for me. I've been given some tools which many of us can access, tools that have helped me to really dive deep into what is going on. And it really is at the root, the very heart of our lives, that stuff is happening and it's hidden. And so we can't see it. And so sometimes we just don't realize or know what to do. I grew up with a mother in the generation of like, you just tough it out. You just set your mind like flint to push through and break through. And that didn't quite work for me. I did it for a while until it became unsustainable. And so in that space of just unsustainable living and a lot of struggle and pain, I had to admit and come to a place of saying, I need some help. So I did try. I went to visit psychologists. I've been to therapists and counsellors. And while they got me to a certain point of stability, at least, it wasn't what I was really hungering for. I was wanting to live this life of freedom and wholeness and not having to step around and manage my thoughts and manage my feelings and manage this person and stay out of that person's way. You know, all of that stuff that we end up having to walk around our life with, soft shoes on in case we crack an egg and it just splatters everywhere. And that's where I had been in that stage, and I wanted more. I was not satisfied with where I'd come to. So this framework for healing and wholeness came out of that journey, and it became something that I really, I've got crazy dogs today, began to understand. Gracie, what's happening? Come back. They've been for their crazy run out in the bush, and there must be something up in the back paddock that's setting them off. Oh, thank you. Well, sorry for that disruption. I just want to share today the framework that I use in my heart encounters, that I use in my own journey of the heart healing process. And it's never a completely finished work. It's an ongoing work. New things in life. I'm in my 60s now, so I've got new challenges of like grandchildren and adult children and parents that have passed on now but were needing a lot of care. You know, life has in its cycles and seasons new challenges for us to confront. And when we're coming into that space with a heart that's heavy, that's wounded, that's hurt, it's just so depleting. And so I am so grateful that this journey has helped me live from a place of wholeness and not depletion, out of rest and peace and not struggle and striving. I do sometimes get caught up in that space, but now I can recognize it. I recognize that red alert, alarm bells. This is not where I want to be. This is not who I want to be. And I'm so grateful for this framework. So I'd like to share with you today. This is the principles that I've been using for several decades now to bring women and myself into a place of wholeness. You know, when you have that heart that you're trying to protect because it's hurt, it's wounded, there's things that have happened in your life that have caused you pain, it's not a fun place to be. It is very depleting. It is very tiring, and you've got to strive and struggle and strain to protect yourself. Well, I just want to say you don't have to choose that way. So if you have stuff happening in your life, like, you're doing things, you're behaving in certain ways, you keep getting angry with the same person, you keep feeling betrayed, or that betrayal pattern or that addiction pattern, if these things just keep cycling around and around and around, these actions are indicating there is something stopping you from wholeness. If you have actions in your life that are so peaceful and fruitful and productive, then that's great, because that's the good stuff. That's the good stuff. It's the stuff that cycles around and just trips us up and catches us off guard and brings us into a place where relationships suffer, our health suffers. I had many health issues over the years, which were so horrible, like depression at a very deep, intense level for a few years. And I couldn't understand why could I not get out of this cycle of depression. So look around you. What's happening? What are you doing? What actions are causing you to feel like you're stuck, that you're in this place that you just don't want to be? Because those actions will lead you to thoughts. This is a beautiful picture created by my friend, he and Lee. She graciously allowed me to use this. I loved this picture when I saw it. It just was so reflective of me in those times of when my thoughts are just cycling around and ruminating and going over and over and over. And, we have like over 80,000 thoughts a day. And 90-something% of those thoughts are negative. Wow. We're in like a no-win situation already, right? So these thoughts are going to lead us to act in certain ways. And if it's not thoughts, it'll be emotions. These crazy emotions that, some are good, some are not so good, some make us feel, really like we're on top of the world, and others make us feel like we are just under the weather constantly. When we're acting out of certain behaviors, it's because our thoughts and our emotions are triggering those actions. And those thoughts and those emotions come from somewhere. They're not just random things that just suddenly pop in our head. There we go. I don't know what's going on with that. They come from memories. We all remember stuff, good and bad. Sometimes we don't even remember what that bad stuff was. We don't even remember what it was that causes us to have those thoughts and those feelings. Let me give you an example. This was a very real example from my own life. My actions were getting angry. I would get angry, and I struggled to control it. I tried, but I just couldn't control it. So on my heart healing journey, I had to unpack the thoughts. What are the thoughts that are coming and bringing me into this place of anger? And as I processed some of these thoughts, it led me to some emotions that were disappointment, that was grief, that was rejection, that was betrayal and abandonment. These were emotions that were triggering my thoughts, which was triggering my actions. And where did they come from? They came from memories that I held in my heart, deep, deep memories, some that I struggled to unpack because they happened even prior to me really having some sort of cognitive memory. And what I've discovered is that the earlier that these things can be disrupted, the harder it can be to find that pathway of wholeness, because we start to believe that's who I am. I'm a person who was abused as a child. I should always be abused. I should find myself in abusive relationships because that's what makes me feel right and normal, because I don't know anything else. Or I'm an angry person. I'm angry because people have just done things to me that are so wrong and so unjust. And so if I could have $1 for every time I've had someone tell me that that's who they are, I'm just an angry person, I'd probably be quite rich. But it's not about that. It truly is about wholeness, coming to a place where we can access the memories, we can unpack the memories, and we can bring the memories into the light. Unless we can bring them into the light and out of the darkness, then they will constantly be framing up our emotions, framing up our thoughts, directing our actions. And while we will do everything we possibly can, and that's why psychology is great, because it teaches you how to manage your mind. But when that mind gets out of control and super chaotic, it becomes so hard to manage. Then our emotions go on roller coaster rides, and they're up and down and all over the place. And they direct our actions in ways that end up causing us to behave and regret our behavior and get into cycles and patterns that we just can't break. And so what I learned in my journey is that it's about the heart. It's about the heart. It's about facing and turning and opening up some of the dark places where those wounds, those hurts, that brokenness sits. So you get to choose. You can live with it and just say that's who you are. Or you can start to make some changes, do some things differently, and start unpacking some of the hurt, some of the wound. When I started on this journey, everything inside of me screamed, don't go there, get out of here. Don't touch this hidden secret place. Don't unpack, don't reveal. It's too ugly, it's too horrible, it's too painful. And it took a lot of fortitude, it took a lot of courage, it took a lot of guts to say, you know what? What other choice do I have? I have to keep living with this, or I can try and find a way out of it. And if I never do, well, then I haven't lost anything. I'm still that broken, hurt, wounded soul that I was before. But if I do nothing and I just stay in that same old pattern, then I honestly had dealt with suicidal thoughts. I had dealt with thoughts that I'd be better off not here. Why would anyone even want me on this earth? So all of these thoughts were getting to a point where actions could have been taken. I mean, I wouldn't have a clue how to do any of that stuff. But thank God I didn't go to a place of actioning out what my thoughts and my emotions were telling me. And ultimately, they were coming from memories that needed to be healed. And when those memories hadn't been healed, you know, I was left in a place of despair. It was horrible. So this month, I have been sharing a process that I've used, which is, of course, we all know about this, called journaling. It's a process where it helps to unpack some of those thoughts and some of those emotions that you might be experiencing. What it did for me is it gave my heart a voice. in my childhood, in my growing up, it was questions weren't asked. You just do what you're told or you get the consequences. Questions aren't going to be asked. We don't want to engage in a conversation about why you did what you did. You just need punishment. And so I had not really had a space where I felt that the cry of my heart was worth being heard. The cry of my heart should even be heard. And so without even understanding what I was doing, I just grabbed a notebook, I grabbed a pen, and I started writing because I needed to get out some of the pain that I was feeling. It helps to create order. It helps to process what is going on inside of you. And so as you do it and create that space, you start to see what is coming out of your heart, and then you start to be able to reap some of the benefits of journaling. It gives you clarity. It brings healing. It's a wonderful process for self-awareness. It's a way to relieve from some of the stress that you might be feeling. Have you ever been in a place where you've just not known what to do with the feelings and the emotions, and someone has listened to you? And that in itself, just being heard, being able to get it out on paper, even if no one else ever reads it, great way to grow. Gratitude. This is my gratitude journal I have here on the screen. It's a book that when I do get into places or times where it just feels like struggle, hardship, I grab my gratitude journal and I make myself write 10 gratitudes, things I'm thankful for each day, because then I'm focusing on the good and I'm getting rid of the bad. Journaling helps you to connect with your emotions. Like when you see them on paper, it's like, whoa, that's not nice, or ouch, that really hurts. And so it's like a light that connects you with the reality and the truth. Of course, it brings emotional release. It's a way of releasing some of that tension and stress just by getting it out of yourself. So how does it promote heart healing? It helps you to name the pain. In my journey, I've found that when I have been honest and truthful and I have put words to the feeling and put words to the thought or put words to the actions, named it, it's like you turn the light on. You turn the light on and those things start to be revealed, and you have to be honest and face what you're naming and what you're seeing. It helps to untangle your emotions. Emotions can be a nasty web, a very entangled mess. And for me, the picture that he and Lee painted of chaos, that girl with the crazy stuff coming out of her head, yeah, that was me. And I was not able to even separate some of the emotions and the thoughts and the feelings in my darker times. It creates space for truth. A lot of our memories that we carry, particularly, say, for me, in the memory that I had of not being heard as a child, not having the opportunity to speak out and be heard, I believed the lie that my voice didn't matter, that whatever I was going to say was just irrelevant, that I was not even worthy to speak. And so this brought about a belief system in me that in my marriage, I felt like, well, what's the point of even saying how I'm feeling? Because no one would care anyway. No one would want to know. And so that lie brought about difficult times in our marriage because I wasn't communicating with my husband. I wasn't able to even tell him, express to him what was going on inside of me because I couldn't even name it for myself. So you can imagine the complexity of that in a marriage. As you journal As you start to write down some of your thoughts, one of the beautiful things I did some years ago was a 5-year journal. So each section on the page was 5 years apart. That was amazing because when I looked back to those darker times and as I was coming out of it and getting healing, I was just amazed. I was like, wow, that was dark. That was dark. But now I could see that I had come to such a healthier, wholesome place. As you journal, you're in your sacred place and you can talk to God. You can talk to Papa. Papa, I call him Papa G because I really wanted to have a relationship with him that was so intimate and so just him and me. And so I found it hard to call him God because it just sounded a bit, I don't know, bland. I wanted to have a personal relationship, so I call him Papa G. I could ask him questions and go, whoa, what's going on that I felt like this? What's going on that these are my thoughts? And then I started to hear him talk back to me and I started to hear his voice and I started to find comfort and direction and guidance in that process of journaling. It also strengthens your self-compassion. I dealt with a lot of self-hatred. I hated myself in so many ways. I hated these actions that kept resurfacing. I hated the way I was responding and I hated that I was getting triggered and I just hated me because I seemed to be the common factor in all of these. As I journeyed and as I walked through some of these things, I started to encounter others who had similar experiences, emotions. You know, it wasn't something we were encouraged to share in my growing up years. You just kept these things to yourself. So as I started to journal and then understand what was happening and then come across others that had similar experiences, it became a way that I could actually be a lot more self-compassionate, nurturing my own heart. And that was a big factor for me. So how did I start? I started small, but I started honest. I think however you start honest. And even just 5 minutes a day, you know, you don't have to write sorry, I must fix this. You don't have to write a novel. Be consistent. You don't have to be perfect. Don't worry about the spelling. Don't worry about the grammar. Just be consistent and try to, in your consistency, be realistic about what you can and what you can't achieve. At times when you feel that emotions are rising, when you've got a wound that's being revealed and it's starting to, you know, get into that place of healing and you're stepping out of that space, then that's a point of, disappeared. So that's a point to start writing maybe a little bit more or a little bit more often. But as you journal and as you unpack some of those emotions, some of those struggles that you're walking through, it's going to switch on a light and you're going to become the person that your heart desires and hungers for you to become. Becoming something different to what you are. Become is that place of being set apart, from the wounds and the hurts, being set apart from the emotional turmoil, from being set apart from thoughts that are chaotic and messy. It means that the desires of your heart, the desires that you long to see in your life, have a greater possibility and potential to come to pass and to happen. When we're in the way with our wounds and our hurts and our filters and our triggers and all of that memories and the roots that need to be that dug out of us, we cannot be revealed as true child of God, true sons of God, true friends of God, because we're hiding and we're not authentic and we're not genuine. So embrace yourself, Be kind to yourself. Try some journaling if that's going to be too hard for you. I know it's hard. It's a very challenging thing to start. But as you start on that process, as you start on that journey, you're going to be greatly blessed. So for me, I offer heart encounters. You can go to my website, redemptionmamas.com, and find a link to those. They're 1.5 hour sessions where those of us that I've needed this, that when we are trying to unpack some of those deeper, darker things, and there's resistance inside of us that is not wanting to go there because the pain or the hurt is too deep. You can take a mentor, you can take someone with you to journey into those spaces, to dive into those darker places and put the light. When a heart encounter happens, we spend 1.5 hours-ish together, and then you get a copy of the recording, which is really helpful so that you can revisit some of those concepts, some of the heart healing framework concepts, some of the strategies to bring healing for your own life in your own heart. And also there's the Beautiful You journey that is just being rebuilt on a new website. So that's coming soon. But I'm very excited that very soon, in hopefully another month or so, the first book in a series that I'm writing called The Restoration of the Heart of a Woman, because our hearts from very early on have often been broken and hurt and wounded. And so the hunger in my heart is not just for me to be restored, but to reach out and help others on that restoration process as well. So this first book is called The Restoration of the Heart of a Woman, and it's the heart of nurture. And so that book will be available in the next month or so. And along with that book comes a journal, a 10-day journal, to help you to unpack anything more that needs to be in your own nurture journey, in your own nurturing roles, and a workshop. That will be an activation process that you can watch and revisit many, 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 many times. So today, for a short little activation that I'd love to do, I start with breathing, because I've learnt in my own space that the breath really helps to bring me back to Holy Spirit. The breath helps me come back to connect my spirit with the Holy Spirit, who is my healer. He is my comforter. He is my guide. He's my director. He is everything to open up and to reveal to me what needs to be revealed. He brings the light and shines the light on the wounds in my soul. And when that light comes in and shines on those wounds, it's amazing how healing happens. And when healing happens, not just in the soul then, but in my health and in my relationships, and so many things shift. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing to be in that space of journeying towards wholeness, pursuing after it. Maybe we never ultimately get there 100%. I don't know. I'm still on the journey. I'd love to think that that would be possible. And everything is possible with God. Nothing is impossible. Did you know that? Nothing. So this journey that I'm on, the journey that you're on, the journey that we hunger and desire to move towards wholeness, it's possible. It's possible. Step into it. Take that first step. Be brave and courageous, because He will not let you down. So in your own space right now, just put your hand on your heart and start to breathe through the nose deeply, and release your breath. Get into a pattern of deep breathing. That breath is releasing so much out of your body. Breathing in. In our breath today, I want to become I want to be on the journey to becoming. Keep breathing in your own rhythm, just deeply, deeply in and deeply out. If you want to join me to be all that you're created to be, all that I'm created to be, then I want to invite you, holding the hand of God, Papa G, hold his hand and ask him to come with you and step into a dark place that maybe is hidden in your soul. Step into the dark place with him, with Papa. Breathing, because you're safe. You're in the breath. You're in the Ruach HaKodesh, the breath of God. Ruach is breath. Is there a dark place that he wants to reveal to you, to bring you into wholeness? As you breathe, let that be revealed. This is a revealing to embrace the truth about who you are and who he is, the healer, the comforter, the helper. Ask him to turn on the light. Turn on the light to reveal any dark place, a dark place in your heart that he would want to bring healing to. Because you're free to be free. You're free to be whole. You get to choose. Now, if there's been a revelation for you, even a sense that there's something that he wants to heal, something he wants to touch, I want to encourage you to go get a journal and start writing. Just, I call it vomit on the paper. Just get it all out. Vomit on the paper. Write it down. Write it down. Write it down. Write down what, if you can't put a name to the dark place, that's okay, because that will come in time. But start writing it out. Start writing out what it is. What is that darkness? What does it look like? Our imagination is a gift from God. This chaos that can be chaos is a gift from God. So let your imagination be switched on and let yourself sit in a space where you can transfer some of those thoughts, some of those imaginations, some of those feelings onto a piece of paper. Write them, write it, even if it doesn't make sense to you. You are creating space for your heart. You're inviting your heart to have a voice. You're opening your heart up to be free to express. And when we step into that expression, that authenticity, we're starting the process of stepping into wholeness. We're going to get to unpack some of those memories. We're going to get to unpack some of those emotions and thoughts that trigger us to act and behave in ways that we don't want to. It's not easy to break the cycle. I'm just going to see if I can get this picture back up again of the framework. It's not, yes, I reckon I can. It's not easy to break the cycle of actions, thoughts, emotions, and heal the memories. When we bring healing into the memory, and I've been so excited to even be enabled to bring healing into a memory that I don't remember, because the Holy Spirit shone the light on it and revealed to me some things that happened to me when I was a child, before I actually had memories that would be, what is it, precognition, I think they call it. Our emotions and our thoughts, this is the soul realm. This is the realm of the soul that comes out of alignment with our spirit and our body and causes the brokenness and causes the chaos. And then, of course, leads to actions that we might regret, or cycles and patterns of behaviors that we want to break. So what you've done just now in your short little time of centering yourself in your breath and in the Holy Spirit is going to help you connect with a memory that needs healing. Don't fret if it didn't happen right then, right there today. It takes time and it takes practice. And very soon I want to start a partnership for women who want to come on a weekly basis and spend some time unpacking the thoughts and the emotions that come from these memories that we hold on to, trauma, pain, experiences that happened to us, and not even things that we did ourselves. All of those things which are memories, we can bring healing to. And then we can line up our thoughts and our emotions. Our soul can come into alignment. And our actions are going to be way different than they were before. I can vouch for that. I've seen incredible wholeness come into my own life. So that today is my workshop for Redemption Mamas, the framework for wholeness. Wholeness was something that I so desperately pursued. And if you're joining me today, maybe you feel the same. But I want to leave you now. Go do your journaling. If you missed the journaling piece, this will be available on the different platforms that I'm present on, and you'll be able to go back and just go through the activation and then take some time to journal as well. Well, God bless and have a beautiful week.